Put your hands together for Huse Madavji! Thank you, bro. Thank you. Hi, my name is Huse Madavji, and as you can tell, I was not born here. Nope, I was born and raised in London, Ontario. I'm also South Asian, I'm Muslim, and some of you may relate, some of you may not. Thank you. But this idea of relating to one another and identity, I have always found fascinating, and I think it's because I grew up as a minority in London, or maybe it's because I'm an actor. But you hear things like building bridges and finding a common ground and celebrating differences. I'm just not sure if it's working, or maybe we're not doing it right, Look, I've dealt with racism my whole life. And growing up in London, I've heard all the stereotypes of being South Asian, and I can only speak for myself, not other South Asians, but much of it is kind of gone away. I do deal with one right now, and it's kind of flattering, and it's this. Are you a doctor? And the answer is, sadly for my parents, no, but I have played doctors on television 6 different times. So my parents are almost proud, right there. But Islam, wow, those stereotypes are everywhere, and I don't relate to any of it. So what I want to do is, share a couple stories with you guys, and yes, they do relate to my identity as a Muslim, someone who practices the faith of Islam, but it goes beyond that. Because, look, discrimination, hate crimes, racism, good old-fashioned ignorance when it comes to faith, race, identity, politics, sexual orientation, you name it, we have it. So here we go. Last month, not even a month ago, I'm at the Shepherd subway station at the bus stop, and I'm talking on the phone with my cousin for her upcoming wedding, which I'm emceeing. Classic. And within the conversation, I say something about Islam and relating to one of her wedding ceremonies. And I'm sitting on a bench, and there's a guy sitting beside me, and then right beside me is this lady. And this lady's heard the conversation, and she says this, I hope you don't have a bomb strapped to your waist. Yeah, this happened. Hold on, I hope you don't finish the story. I hope you don't have a bomb strapped to your waist. I was like, yeah, to be fair, I did just murder 6 President's Choice decadent chocolate chip cookies. I wasn't sure. My metabolism slowing down if she saw anything. Yeah, that happened. The guy who was sitting in the middle literally did not want to get in the middle of it, so he just got up and walked away. There was probably 20 of the people sitting at the bus stop, and nobody said anything. Nobody said anything, and this just confirmed a recent survey done by Ipsos, which concluded that 1 in 4 Canadians are finding that it is becoming more and more acceptable to be prejudiced towards Muslims. So I put my cousin on hold, and I do the whole song and dance, right? The whole thing that I've done before. It's like, how can you paint with such a broad brush? And there are 1.8 billion Muslims, and it's wrong to generalize, and terrorism exists in all sorts of faiths. And you know what? Terrorists use religion as a justification to carry out harm. And then she cuts me off and says this, you know what? I watch the news. It's because you pray to Allah. So then it hit me. I'm like, she has no idea what she's talking about. If her only exposure to Islam is to the tiny sliver of perspective that she finds on the news, then yeah, she's not gonna know that the word Allah in Arabic simply means God. Just like how the word Dieu means God in French. So this is how I felt. First, I was shocked. I couldn't believe this is actually happening. The second thing that came to my mind is, this is great. I was actually thinking of a good anecdote to tell you guys here at the Top 10 event, and awesome. And the third thing was, I'm offended. And then I thought, what good does that do? What good does it do if I'm offended? You see, I've recently shifted my thinking when it comes to people who say offensive things or who make assumptions about my identity, whether it's I'm South Asian or I'm Muslim or I'm from London, Ontario. I mean, it's fine, but the night is still young. You never know. Someone could say something. If I assume that they should know everything about my identity, well, then I'm wrong. Now, when I tell this to, friends and family, that I'm wrong to assume that the person saying offensive things about me or the person making assumptions about me should know everything about my identity, here's the reaction. I'm celebrated. People are like, Huse, you're so patient. You're so compassionate. You are handsome. Thank you. So if I'm celebrated, for being wrong, maybe I can welcome and celebrate others when they're wrong about me, because I believe it's in that moment right there. It's in that moment right there where we can actually make a difference and connect with each other on a deeper level. See, I just feel like what's happening is like we're scared to ask. We don't feel empowered to ask, So we feel like we're gonna, get our information from short posts, small captions, videos that are less than a minute because maybe we don't want to offend somebody. And then what does that happen? We have a world of impatience where we know bits about everything and very little about one thing. We have superficial knowledge, and then we just fill in the blanks ourselves, which really is ignorance. So what I'm asking all of us here today, including myself, is no, forget that. Let's have the courage to be wrong. Let's celebrate being wrong. It's okay. It's okay to be wrong because that's the first step. Being wrong is the first step, and then feel empowered to ask and have the courage to listen. I do have a success story. It's kind of embarrassing, kind of. I'm in an Uber with my mom. Okay, I know. Okay, I'm in an Uber with my mom, and we're late to see my nephew. He has an event at his high school, so we're like, we gotta go. It's 40 minutes away. And the driver's like, Huse, is that short for Hussein? And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Where are you from? I'm from London, Ontario. Where are you from? I'm from Iraq. Cool, man. So, Hussein, are you Muslim? I am Muslim. I'm Christian. You Muslims are very bad. My mom then jumps in. It's like, okay, nice to meet you. People are people. People are people. What are you, Depeche Mode? People are people? What are you saying? Look, this guy's offending us. Come on, Mom. Let me handle this. And I get defensive with this guy. We can't just leave the Uber. We're late for my nephew's recital. So I make a choice. All right, I'm going to listen. And I listen. He shares some of his stories. And he listens. I share some of my stories, my perspective. We get to a point where we talk about how politics and power, poverty, being marginalized, are some of the reasons why there is so much ignorance and hate in the world. And really, our faiths, Christianity and Islam, which is separate from that, are actually very, very similar. So we pull up to my nephew's high school, and right when we're pulling up, and he says, so Huse, I guess what you're saying is we're all just individuals, and we shouldn't really generalize. My mom jumps in and says, that's what I said 40 minutes ago, people are people. So my Uber driver and I, we admitted that my mom was right in the beginning. And I gave him 5 stars for that. There's another layer to this, and here's the other layer. The other layer is this. Just because I'm South Asian doesn't mean I know all there is to know about the myriad of cultures and religions and faiths and just the people that exist in the southern part of Asia. Just because I'm Muslim doesn't mean I know all there is to know about Islam. Look, I also have to have the courage to say, I don't know, but I will find out. Look, Islam, we have so many different denominations. We're so diverse. We're like the cast of a Shonda Rhimes show, okay? Like, that's how diverse Islam is. I'm on a date with this girl. She's Muslim. It's our first date. Really, really intimate, really sweet spot. I really like it. Nice corner area, candle, the whole thing. And she's looking into my eyes, and she says this. She says, you're not a real Muslim. I'm a real Muslim. This is like the first 5 minutes of the date. So we get into this whole thing about faith and trying to understand each other, and at the end of it, we got to really good understanding, and we knew so much about each other that we didn't need a second date. One was enough. Because theology can only be so sexy, But here's what I got out of that date. If the two of us who belong to this, group, this thing called Islam, if the two of us don't have an understanding or we kind of lack information about each other, well, imagine what it's like on the outside. You see, lack of information and assumption not only make for awkward dates or terrible encounters at the Shepherd subway station, lack of information and assumption is also dangerous. Remember 2012? Oak Creek, Wisconsin. A gunman enters a Sikh temple, opens fire, kills a bunch of people because he thought they were Muslim. Sadly, there are some other gunmen who, have gotten it right. But I wonder if our education system, if the stories we tell each other, on television and movies and cinema, if the news that we read and watch on TV, if the people we put into positions of power, if we made it okay to say, I'm wrong, I don't know, and made it okay to ask, just made it okay just to celebrate that journey, I just wonder if Wisconsin, Christchurch in New Zealand, Quebec right here in Canada, I wonder if those incidences would have been avoided. You see, we're not one thing, and it's lazy to think we are. Here's the thing. None of us here are one thing. Now, maybe I'm being an idealist, and maybe I just find that compassion for one another as human beings should be enough. But think about all the missed opportunities in your business, in your own personal relationships. How do you achieve greatness if you put a ceiling on knowledge and curiosity? Look, all of this goes beyond Islam, all right? It's the person who looks different than you. It's the person who likes a different gender than you like. It's the person who is a different gender than you. It's the person who votes differently than you. It's the person who comes from a different socioeconomic background than you. It's the person who practices a different faith than you. And this is probably the most controversial. Can I say this here at CBC? It's the person who cheers on a different hockey team than you, right? Like, it doesn't matter what side of the dialogue we're on, whether I'm here, you're there, and vice versa. Let's just make it okay. Let's celebrate being wrong, because being wrong is the first step. And then let's just empower each other to ask and have the courage to listen. Because after all, Mom was right. People are people. Thank you. Thank you.